deceive you. If you were looking at this face and listening to this voice, you were tuned in to the best kept secret in sports talk. I'm your friend, the neighborhood smoker, and you are officially back on the hot seat. Yes, the hot seat is back. Y'all know we doing the hot seat, man. We set somebody's ass on fire, and we gonna bring Florida State back to the table, man. Have a little discussion. There's a lot to unpack about Florida State, and goddamn it, we ain't gonna do it all on this show. We'll probably smooth that out over the next few shows. Just want to talk about some things I've noticed, just a little bit, not a lot. So, without any further ado, paying homage to the ghost of my left and my right, ding ding, classes in session. Yes, the gospel is back. So, last we talked about Florida State. Made a video and it was really just referencing the importance of Mackenzie Milton coming into the fold. When you look over the past few years, one thing that Florida State has lacked has been consistent good quarterback play. And I think, and I believe I entitled that show The Bridge. I think when you look at where we want Florida State to be, where it's been, what we've known it in the past, he's a bridge that could help us get it there. Because just as everybody has said the past few seasons, Florida State needs one good year. Florida State needs one good season for buy-in to happen, for recruits to notice us again, so on and so forth. And I thought he could be the essential piece to get Florida State back to where we needed it to be. Since then, a lot has transpired. One thing that I think nobody, because I look at it like this. There are three types of people when you look at the Florida State fan base in regards to head coach Mike Norvell. The other people who don't like him probably won't like him regardless of what he does, just based off the fact that he's not the coach they wanted. You got the people who kind of on the fence about him, they're kind of indifferent, just kind of like in waiting to see mode, see what he does, see if he's going to fail or not. And you got the people who support the head coach regardless of who he is because you just support Florida State that much, right? Regardless of which one of those three you categorize yourself as, what you cannot understate is what he's done in recruiting over the last month. It is nothing short of remarkable. The attention to detail, and when I say attention to detail, this is what I mean. I feel as if Florida State recruits the state of Florida better, everything will start to work itself out. You look at the fact that Dan Mullen has been successful at Florida, but he doesn't have a stranglehold on the state itself. You look at Manny Diaz in Miami being as bitter as he is. It seems as if the state of Florida is still wide open, which is why you see the Alabamas, the Clemsons, and the Georgias, and so on and so forth, the Ohio States come in and continually pluck top-tier talent out of the state of Florida. So when you look at the top 50 prospects in the state, I think at least almost half of them made their way to Tallahassee in the last month. People, that is amazing. Based off a team that only won 3 games last season, and then based off a team that looked pretty bad even in some of those wins, what he's done in recruiting and have the number 3 ranked team in the country is astonishing to me. It blows my mind. One thing I've said about Mike Norvell consistently is his tenure is going to be decided strictly based upon how fast he can fix the offensive line. Somebody sent him one of my shows, positive of it. Somebody told him that, hey, listen, you need to get this goddamn offensive line fixed because in the past show I referenced and I kind of broke down to you the trickle-down effect of poorish or bad or hell, I guess in the last few seasons a historically bad offensive line has had on Florida State. Well, if you want to right the ship, if you really want to get things back rolling in which they should be, the things that we remember, fix the offensive line. That should be your first, second, and third duty, right? You look at the attention that, you know what? And I'm getting off topic here, but stay with me. I was one of those guys that was kind of on the fence about Atkins. Not in his football acumen, not in, I guess you would want to call it his recruiting chops. None of that shit. It was just that I really didn't know based off what I saw on the field last season. Because although Florida State did improve, they were going to improve anyway. Because the guys who were on the historically bad offensive line, some of those guys didn't come back. And the chances of you having guys that were just that bad replacing them were slim. So what I saw last season, it really didn't wow me, only because I knew the offensive line was not going to be as bad as it was in 2019. So, given that and taking into consideration what I see now, whoo, that motherfucker is worth every damn dime Florida State is giving him. And when it's time to re up, get that man whatever he asks for. His recruiting. One thing people made fun of about Mike Norvell was when he had the interview, he brought in all these binders and he had a plan and all this other bullshit. That binders started to pay off. Those binders are really starting to pay off because nobody can tell me that they had heard of Alex Atkins or he was on somebody's radar prior to him coming to Florida State. He was in Conference USA, right? Charlotte. I had never heard of him. People who I speak with who pay attention just to college football just as much as myself, people who are even tied closer to the program had never heard of him. So for Mike Norvell to have his eyes set on someone, zero in on him and go in and bring him in Florida State, and it pays off this handsomely, people, that's impressive. Speaking of that goddamn binder, we need to talk about something. The addition. It's almost as if all of this has come full circle. The biggest and best thing Mike Norvell has done since he's been in Florida State was bring Ryan Bartow in as the lead recruiting analyst. Listen, guys. There's something to be said about somebody who loves doing something and somebody who's really fucking good at doing something. Recruiting, meet Ryan Bartow. Ryan Bartow, meet recruiting. When Carlos Loughlin left, I think that was February. When he left, there were probably two guys I had in mind. I didn't even know Ryan Bartow was available. But when that name came down the pipeline, I started hearing that this is the person who Mike Norvell was zeroing in on. I was blown away. I thought he would have been a home run hire, and right now, he is a home run hire. This is a motherfucking grand slam and nothing short of it. Bringing Ryan Bartow in the fold, it's almost like your secret weapon. It's almost as if, other schools have this and other schools have that. They don't have this in their back pocket. They don't have a Ryan Bartow in their back pocket. Somebody who loves what he does as much as he does and someone who is good at doing what he does because he is elite. And it's kind of funny how unless you were really truly there, you don't really know who to give credit to for this, that, or the third. But nobody can tell me that the Midnight Madness wasn't his idea. No one can tell me that he wasn't heavily entrenched in the idea of Midnight Madness. And the Midnight Madness it didn't just shock the fans, it shocked college football. It almost as if, wow, Florida State had more momentum headed in June than we thought. That's laying down a lot of groundwork, even prior to Bartow getting there, and that's seeing some of you seeing some of the fruits of your labor being enjoyed with the commitments and the you saw some recruits come in continually throughout the month of June after Midnight Madness. Ryan Bartow has his face, his name, his fingerprints stamped all over this class, the number 3 ranked class as it relates to recruiting in the country. Florida State was 3-6. Y'all saw them goddamn games. I mean, Florida State didn't look bad in some of the games. They looked fucking terrible. There was a conversation being had at Florida State at some point in the season early on that they were the worst team in college football. I know the conversation was being had because I was one of them having it. It's just the attention to recruiting, man. It was two things that were going to fix this. There were two things that were going to right the ship at Florida State. One was recruiting. The other, because, the age-old question is, which one is more important, the Jimmys and Joes or the X's and O's? Well, people, you can't have one without the other. They go hand in hand. You have to have both. And the X's and O's are really going to come into play this season because not just with recruiting, but because of recruiting, right? Nobody expects, Florida State to keep all the guys in the fold they have right now, regardless of how the season goes, right? You're going to have your decommits, right? That's a given. But Florida State has blue chip talent at key positions. So if Mackenzie Milton is indeed the bridge, this season becomes all the more important because you only have one quarterback recruit, and he is a really good recruit. And it's not like we haven't seen a quarterback commit to Florida State, then decommit late in the season, probably based off the product that was produced on the field, right? AJ Duffy is a necessity for Florida State. Make no bones about it. He is a necessity to Florida State. It is important that Florida State produce on the field and look decent in the process of it, because you can't afford to lose an AJ Duffy based on the fact that you go 3-6 or 3-9 or whatever the however many games. I thought what 12. So you can't 11. You can't be another a 3-win team, right? You have to produce something on the field that is going to keep guys like him committed, keep guys like him entertained and engaged with Florida State trending in the right direction. Nico Marchiol is gone, right? Didn't really too much care for Nico to begin with. Not saying it because he's gone. I just was never excited about him as a quarterback. I think I saw him on ESPN last year, and nothing really wowed me about the kid. Everything I see about Duffy tells me he's the real deal. Everything. You look at guys like Travis Hunter. You look at guys who's recruiting like Sam McCall. That's probably a nucleus as it relates to the best 3 players you have in your class. It's important to keep them in the class because Hunter is nothing short of a generational talent. He could play either side of the ball. You look at Sam McCall. You talk about guys like Earl Little mentioned he wants to play with those guys. You look at guys, other guys they recruited in the secondary mentioning those key player names as it relates to these are guys I can see myself playing with. You want to keep those guys in the fold, you have to produce this season. This season is, and it's not like we haven't said this before, right? All Florida State has to do is win. We say that shit every goddamn season. But compare the home opener at Boise State to the home opener this season at Notre Dame. I know we can become prisoners of the moment, right? I'm asking you to get out of that and just remember where you were prior to the Boise State game, right? There was pressure on their coaching staff because they needed to deliver off a 5-7 season. There was pressure on their coaching staff because Boise State was a beatable team with a true freshman quarterback coming in, right? You look at the momentum Florida State has built up until this point. You look at the 3 losing seasons, the stain, the tarnish that is on the emblem, that is on the logo, right? Florida State isn't what it used to be. A lot of that can be resurrected if Florida State goes out and win. I'm not here to talk predictions right now. I'm not here to talk about the season in general. We'll talk about that shit later. I'm just merely bringing up to you that this season is more important than any season we can probably remember in the last, I'll say 7-8 years, maybe longer than that. It's important that Mike Norvell and his staff produce, because the guys who could potentially decommit, you're not going to be able to replace. Who's to say you can mimic this type of steam this time next year, right? This is the time in which the ball has gotten rolled. The rubber truly needs to meet the road this season. So the X's and O's are going to matter now more than ever because of Jimmy and Joe's. I don't know what the hell you want me to say about them. I mean, y'all see the same shit I see. So you got a full off season. Whatever you wanted to implement, whatever system you wanted to put in front of these players, you now have hands-on training. You now have hands-on tutelage. You got a full off season a true full off season under your strength and conditioning coach Storms. I'm not going to say there aren't any excuses because, again, this isn't a very talented football team. But no one pays you to be average. No one pays you to be below average, right? This is still Florida State. And depending on who you ask, the standard is still the standard. Florida State has to win this year. And I don't mean, realistically speaking, 6 games, right? You really want to win 8 or more. And I'm not here to say which one is more reasonable, right? We'll talk about it again. We'll talk about that later. I'm just saying how important it is for Florida State to put together some type of product on the field that is going to get recruits excited and keep recruits engaged. Because there are still some guys that are in the play for. Well, I told you it's a lot to talk about with Florida State, but again, the guys that are still in play for, we'll talk about all of that later. But some of these guys are really good blue chip athletes at key positions for Florida State. But like I said, man, I wasn't gonna keep you all this long. I just wanted to touch base on a few things. We have a lot to discuss when it comes to Florida State, but I just knew I wasn't gonna be able to fit it all in one show. Um, big shout out to everybody who reached out to me, man. Everybody who kept in touch with me during this hiatus. But like I said, I'm back to dropping consistent content. You will continue to see my face as long as you want to see it. As always, big thank you for everybody who hits the play button. Please share these videos. Please like and subscribe. That does a lot for the channel. You can find me on Twitter at the Hot Seat 19. You can find me on Instagram at the Hot Seat 19. And as always, again, I appreciate you. Till next time, y'all be good.